In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you stop your puppy from biting you constantly. Now, puppy biting is by far the most common behaviour problem that people come to me with dogs under 6 months of age. And the reality is that it's not a behaviour that dogs rarely grow out of if you ignore it. And this Border Terrier is a classic example of a dog that left unchecked not only won't grow out of it, but the behaviour will become worse and worse and evolve as time goes on. So it's absolutely something that you need to get on top of. And I'm going to show you in this video taking this Border Terrier from some of the worst puppy biting we've ever seen, especially on clothes, shoes, hair, beards, through to perfect behaviour in just one day, because it isn't something that you have to live with. Now, we've spent all morning doing our deep level of assessment around motivation, temperament, characteristics, emotional states. And I've deemed that this dog is actually a sweet little dog. Despite what you might be seeing right now, this is just a lot of pent-up frustration, prey drive that doesn't have anywhere to go. Now, the first decision that I always make is, do I want to interrupt the behaviour immediately, or do I take a longer term approach and really focus on the desirable behaviour that I want to redirect them to first, then bring in the interruptions later? Now, when dogs come into my centre for this problem, I always make that decision based on the initial conversation when the dog is dropped off with us in the morning. We get to know the owners, we get to know what's going on, and we evaluate what the situation is. For me, whenever there is young children involved with the dog and in their home or in their family that the dog is going to be interacting with, that for me is a signal that I always will then immediately jump to interrupting the behaviour and getting it dealt with today. Now, there are children in this dog's life, so I've decided to go down the track of dealing with the behaviour first, then transitioning the behaviour onto a better object to still be able to provide her the fulfilment and kind of outlet that as a game-bred working line terrier she absolutely needs. Now, the downside to that approach immediately is that the dog might become confused if they don't know what it is that you want them to do instead of puppy biting. And if you take the longer term approach of teaching them that desirable behaviour first, sometimes the act of doing that helps mitigate or even remove the puppy biting. But it is a longer term approach, and you may have to deal with the puppy biting in the meantime, which for me, if there's children involved, that for me is not a risk that I'm prepared to take. So step one is interrupting the behaviour. To be able to do that, we have to pair the verbal interruption with the physical interruption to be able to have success. And when it comes to physical interruptions, I utilise usually one of 3 different styles. The first one is a passive interruption, and that's exactly what we did with the Border Terrier, and you're going to be able to see me doing that right now. Now, when it comes to puppy biting, I often say that first you need to kind of interrupt the behaviour. You can interrupt the behaviour in 2 ways. A passive interruption, which would be something like this, where I'm going to hold on to the dog's collar, and I'm going to hold on and wait until she stops. And I'm holding the collar in a way that, as you can see, she's trying to get to my hand now, but I'm not going to let her. I'm not holding firmly, I'm just stopping her and preventing her from doing the behaviour. When she stops, good girl, I'm going to let off. Now, the key to the passive interruption is making sure that you bring assertive energy into the equation. You make it really clear with your body language being quite big, stern, taut. It doesn't matter whether you're a 6'3", 350-pound man like me, or whether you're a very petite woman. It doesn't matter. You can still bring the energy into the equation, which is what you're trying to achieve, and you have to win. Once you're holding that collar, once you've made the decision to do that, if the dog wriggles and wriggles and wriggles, and it takes 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, and you just go, this isn't working, and you let go, all the dog's going to do in that situation is learn that fighting you is going to get you to let go, and they're going to do that more and more and more in the future. So in that first repetition, you have to go in assertively with love, kindness, and wanting to help your dog understand that what they're doing is completely unacceptable and that they need to stop. And we're going to wait it out, because what we need the dog to learn is that the only way that they're going to let me go is if I stop biting, stop wriggling, fighting, making silly noises, and I go calm. When I go calm, we let them go. And through a few repetitions of that, oftentimes the dog will understand that that is A, not acceptable, and B, all that we want from them is calm. Now, if the passive interruption isn't one for you, or you want to speed the process up, or you've got a dog that is displaying quite extreme situations, or a very large dog that kind of passive interruption might be struggling with, then a active interruption is something that I also utilize and recommend. And for that, there's usually two approaches. You can do what I call a touch interruption, which would be where you'd make this kind of shape with your hand, and you may be imitating, especially when we're working with puppies. This is exactly what the dog's mum would do if the dog was excessively chewing on mum. She'd use her mouth and she wouldn't bite them, but she'd give them a little tap, a little pop with her mouth. And you're emulating that with your fingers. Now, you have to always make sure whenever using active interruptions that you're using the minimum amount of force required to achieve the desired outcome. And the desired outcome is for them to stop doing what they're doing and for learning to take place.
Hey guys, so this is me from the future as we're editing the video that you're just watching. And I wanted to very quickly jump in at this point and just say that the practical demonstrations of me working with this Border Terrier that you're seeing, we've clipped it out and we're trying to make a really fun, sharp, really valuable, informative video for you guys for YouTube that works well on YouTube. But the entirety of this training session is being uploaded completely unedited to my Perfect Puppy course. Now, my Perfect Puppy course is the culmination of all of my years of experience and everything I've ever done with dogs, and is the world's best-selling online puppy training course, and has helped literally thousands of people take their puppies all the way through to perfect canine companion, and includes absolutely everything that you need to be able to do that, alongside loads of completely raw, unedited practical demonstrations of exactly what you need to be doing, including this one here. So there'll be a link to the Perfect Puppy course that you can check out after this video down in the description box below. If you're interested in learning more, you can go there. But let's get back to this video now.
Now, whenever we're using a passive interruption or an active interruption, we're also making sure that we're using our verbal interruption first, so that long term, no one wants to be continuing to use these active interruptions. But if we use our verbal and then our passive or active interruption, what that allows us to do in the future, because we're now empowering our verbal interruption, is to not need the active interruption at all. All the noises, the clicks, a click, it doesn't matter whether it's a ch, a no, a click, none of that matters. It's the energy behind it. It's the dog understanding that you will follow through, which is what makes those verbal interruptions work. Now, that does mean that you have to go through this process with potentially a physical interruption to empower that verbal. But for me, no. As a dog now, hey buddy, hey, how are you? Now, if the touch interruption isn't something that you want to do, I often help the clients that I work with here at my centre achieve the same outcome, but with a lead interruption. Now, with a dog of this age, I was super happy to use the slip lead that the dog came in on. We fitted it appropriately. And although the passive interruption worked so well with the first repetition, I wanted to test both passive and active so that I could communicate to the owners which one would be best for them long term to take this skill and be able to make it work for themselves at home, not just here with me at my centre. So we like to test both outcomes, and we utilised a slip interruption. You use your verbal interruption with a slight pop on the lead. Again, we're popping the lead, we're not pulling the lead, and I've got hundreds of videos showing exactly how you can do that for a variety of different situations. But the key takeaway is, again, making sure that you understand the concept of you use as little amount of pop on the lead as possible to achieve the desired outcome. Still wanting to play, but she's learning what's appropriate play, which is what we're going to move on to in the next step. But I want to stay here with you just for a moment, because moving on to the next step, I'm going to channel this energy, because she's a working line terrier. This energy has to go somewhere, and I don't want to just shut her down. I want to show her, you don't do it on me, on my clothes, on my hair, on my beard. We do it on and kind of spoiler alert, on a toy that we're going to set up later. Now, many owners do struggle with this, which is why a lot of people will bring their dogs into our centre for us to be able to do these empowering of verbal interruptions and helping the dog understand what they mean with as good timing as possible. But then it's then much easier to be able to kind of hand over to the owners. But as you can see now, this will be interesting. Good. Making better decisions. Nope. Again, no physical interruption needed in that repetition. Still happy-go-lucky, still playful, but we're communicating that my no means no. I don't want to use the physical, but if you don't listen, I'll use the minimum amount of physical interruption needed to achieve the desired outcome of getting you to actually stop what you're doing. So I know that the message has been delivered and that learning has taken place. And then next time, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make a better decision with just my verbal, knowing that if you don't, I have the ability to follow through until that learning has really taken place. Now, what that next means that we can do is we want to start moving this on to the appropriate item. Now, again, I would have done this a bit sooner, but I'm trying to kind of help you guys at home as well. And I want to make sure that I'm still positive things come from me. I'm still a guy that's fun and we can play, but we're just going to do it this way instead. Yeah, good girl, good girl. Yeah, good, good girl. So we're going to play a little bit of a game. Yes, good girl, good. Moving around, letting her know this is okay, these items are okay. And as we progress through the day today, we're going to teach a drop it command. Now, again, we can do that physically, but with a dog like this, we're going to try the process more passively. So I'm just going to hold on to the item now, make the item go dead, drop. Yes, absolutely perfect. Exactly what I was hoping would happen. And as soon as you listen and that you drop, the item comes alive again, which is really digging into that prey drive, which is what she wants to do. So with this combination of being loving leaders and communicating to our dog what isn't acceptable, but being fair and helping them understand what it is that we do want from them instead, you will see puppy biting come down and down and down and down. But rather than just leave a dog that's squashed down, that doesn't know what to do and is just worried about getting something wrong, because we've redirected to what we do want and we've been rewarding and reinforcing that behaviour, that comes up and up and up and up, and we've still got the same border terrier that's bubbly, full of life, wants to play, wants to interact with their humans, but just doing it in the appropriate way that's acceptable for us as this dog's loving leader, and this unacceptable behaviour has diminished until eventually it's completely gone. All whilst continually empowering our verbal interruption that will allow us to utilise the same principles and theories for other inappropriate behaviours that we may face in the future. So if this video is helpful, subscribe. We make videos like this all the time, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.